Hello. So I had quite a few books on my end of the year TBR, and it's been a few weeks since I uploaded that last video, so I've been able to get a jump start on some of the books and I've made some progress. So I finished 2 and I'm reading my 3rd one currently, but I want to give you guys a quick little review on the 2 that I have finished, which are low-key probably the 2 most popular ones on my list. First one was Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So I finished this book, read it pretty quickly, probably took me like 3 to 4 days. It's a little chunkier than I thought it was gonna be, which I also stated in the last video. It's like over 400 pages. I don't know why when I used to see it in people's videos, like it looked a lot smaller, but it's not. I ended up reading this a whole 3.5 stars. So that is not bad. It's pretty good. I would say 3 is average, 3.5 is good. So I thought this book was good, very entertaining. If you guys like Gossip Girl and are into the Blair and Chuck relationship, then this is for you. I'm a huge fan of Blair and Chuck. Like, I love them with my whole heart, but I know in the back of my head, and like I'm pretty self-aware that they're extremely toxic and the things that they did to each other were not okay. And this is on the very same path as that. There's so much toxicity in this book that I literally wanted to put it down at some points because it was so frustrating. And it's just like, open your eyes, people, you know? I don't know if I like fell in love with the characters or with their like romance, because it just made me doubt myself and like them too many times for me to be like convinced. With that being said, it was entertaining. They are like super rich and wealthy teenagers living in London's high society, so they definitely have like that entertaining aura about them. They're both in the same friend group, but there's tons of boys in the friend group. There's like drama within them. There's like betrayal, heartbreak, so much. I feel like there's so much that is like happening, but at the same time, like as you're reading it, you're like, what is happening? Nothing is happening. Like, it's so confusing. And I think that's why I rated this 3.5 stars, because like I wasn't convinced that I loved it, but I don't hate it. Like 50% of me loved it and 50% of me hated it. So this is a 3.5 stars for me. With that being said, I do have the complete and rest of the series, so I will be reading it. But I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I do think Daisy Hates, which is the second book, let me grab it. Daisy Hates, which is book number 2 in the series. And I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one more than Magnolia Parks. Daisy Hates is a character, so is Magnolia Parks. That's why they're named the way they're named. Magnolia Parks is the main character in Magnolia Parks. Daisy Hates, I'm assuming, is gonna be the main character in Daisy Hates, but Daisy Hates does make a cameo in Magnolia Parks. So we do kind of know who she is. We do kind of know like what her family's about, kind of a little bit. They gave us like a little bit of, you know, glimpse. I am very excited to read this one because I have a feeling I might like Daisy and her family a little bit better than Magnolia's, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I really have no idea what to expect from this. It could be the same exact toxicity and terrible relationship as this one, or it could be better. So we'll see. I'll let you know once I read this and when I do. But that was my review for Magnolia Parks. It's definitely a freaking whirlwind and I got like a whiplash from reading it. The next book that I also finished that was on my end of the year TBR, that was literally a book that I had to read or else like I'd already have incredible FOMO. Well, I did have incredible FOMO because I hadn't read it, but now that I've read it, I'm very happy. It is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, the like most popular viral book of 2023. Finally read it, and I do have Iron Flame. It's also on the TBR list. Haven't touched it, haven't read it, but after reading this one, I'm definitely like ready to dive into Fourth Wing, and what's it called? Iron Flame. Like, this one actually ends on like a cliffhanger, so it makes you want to read the next one. With that being said, I gave this 4.5 stars. It was close to being a 5, but not quite. I save my 5s for books that are like either will rip my heart out, make me cry, are very, very emotional, or leave like a very deep, lasting impact on me. And this did not do any of that, but it did everything else like perfect. It did romance really well. It did story building / like world building really well. The complex characters are great. Like, I actually really enjoyed it, and the ending was phenomenal. I can see the hype behind this book. Like, you can see why it's so popular because it is genuinely good, and I do recommend it. With that being said, I am excited to read Iron Flame, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of a break. Just like Magnolia Parks, I don't want to dive into this series or, you know, the next book right away. I want to give some other books a chance so I can kind of, you know, make some progress on my end of year TBR. Although Iron Flame is also on my end of year TBR list, so it would make sense if I read it. But I am not going to just yet because sometimes too much fantasy is a thing and I need like my romances sprinkled in there. So that takes me to the book that I'm now currently reading, which is Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan. Now, I actually had no idea. I had never heard of this book when I picked it up at the store. I just knew who Mia Sheridan was, which is the author of Archer's Voice, which I read earlier this year and now is like one of my favorite books ever. It is so, so good. Easily 5-star read for me, and I already want to reread it even though I only read it like a few months ago. It was just that good. So I picked this one up because I realized, you know, oh, it's Mia Sheridan and it is a romance between two characters and the male character is a convicted felon. In my TBR video, I did mention that I do have a major in criminal justice, so books that have, you know, in that realm always interest me, always pique my interest. So I picked this up and started reading it a few days ago, and now I am on chapter 12, which is page 164. So about maybe a little bit more than a third, but not quite halfway done. I'm super, super loving it already. There are like a few red flags with the male character that I'm like, is stopping me from being like a ride or die for them. But he is so, at this point, pretty down bad for the main character. And it is a marriage of convenience trope, which I don't think I've ever read before. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never actually read a book with that trope. And this is that trope all over it, and I'm enjoying it so far. Like, I kind of feel like I know what's gonna happen. I'm not too sure. I can already tell like the Mia Sheridan like author writing style that I know I loved from Archer's Voice. I can already like feel it and see it in this book. I'm really glad I picked this up. It was between this one or Addicted to You, which is like back there, which is also a very popular book, but it's also part of a series. So I think I wanted to read like a standalone book before I dove into another series right after Magnolia Parks and Fourth Wing. If I had to like say a rating for it, I would probably give it like 4 stars at this point, but I have a feeling some emotional stuff is gonna happen and I can't wait because that's what I love in books. Like, I just love getting my heart ripped out. It's just fun. So yeah, that is the update. So it's been like a day or two since the last clip, but I finally finished Grayson's Vow. I think I finished it yesterday or the day before, but I did want to say I ended up rating it 4.5 stars. I thought it was really, really good. Again, Mia Sheridan is like top dog. Her romance is so good, and specifically this one, I feel like the male main character, it's hard to put into words because sometimes like the things he did, I don't think I would stand for that kind of thing, and I'd be like, cut him off, like toxic, bad. But then you get his backstory. I want to hold the male main character accountable for some of the things he did, and I think it's important. Besides the male main character, who I was like, ooh, you know, very different feelings. The female character, amazing, loved her. Essentially what this book is about is a girl named Kira. She's like a 22-year-old girl, and her father is the mayor, I believe, of San Francisco. Super, super, like, very rich, but also very, famous, and obviously he's in politics, so very political. She basically, her and her dad have a very bad relationship, and her grandma, who passed away, left her like an inheritance, so the only condition is that she has to be married. So she ends up finding this guy named Grayson who owns a vineyard in Napa Valley, California, and she proposes. You know, his vineyard is kind of on the outs, like it's pretty much going into disrepair, everything's broken, it's falling into like bankruptcy basically. So she offers him the proposal of marriage and it goes from there. Anyway, 4.5 stars. It's very emotional. Some of the parts I literally was like holding back tears because I was like, oh my gosh, like there's some like childhood trauma for sure, and that's also why I feel like you have to hold your characters accountable but also take into consideration like the things that they have been through. Other than that, I really liked it. I do still like Archer's Voice more from Mia Sheridan, but I would recommend this. If you liked that book, then you'll probably like this one. I have a few books now that I'm like, what do I read next? Because I'm really just not sure. I'm in between A Winter in New York by Josie Silvers, who is actually one of my favorite authors. I've read her entire backlist at this point. And I think in one of these first, this is like a brand new book, came out in October, and it's like a holiday book, so I've been waiting to read it. But this is her backlist, A Winter in New York, which is this book. One Night on the Island, The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, and One Day in December. I would rate them as following. One Day in December, number 1. Two Lives of Lydia Bird, number 2. And then One Night on the Island, number 3. And then we'll see where this one lands once I pick it up and finish it, but I don't know if this is going to be my next read. Next potential option, is Tom Lake, a novel by Anne Patchett. So this is a Reese's Book Club pick from like a month or 2 ago, and I've heard really good things, but I just don't know if I want to dive into it. It's like a literary fiction, so no big like romance, thriller, none of that. It's just kind of about life, and this actually takes place like pretty currently. I believe 2020. It's about this mother who like is telling her story to her kids, like her daughters, and just all about that. So I've heard lots of good things. It's a really pretty book, and I usually am a very big fan of Reese's Book Club books, so maybe, I'm not sure. And then the last one that I feel like I also want to read is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is another toxic romance type of book, and I don't know, I feel like I've been reading a good amount of romance. I had my fair share of toxicity with Magnolia Parks, so I don't know if I'm quite yet ready to jump into this, but the reason I really want to is because obviously this book is super popular, and I had done an Instagram poll if I wanted to read this one or Grayson's Vow, and Addicted to You actually won, but I ended up reading Grayson's Vow because I just wanted something a little lighter than sex and booze and addiction. So yeah, I kind of pushed this one like down the line, but now I just have no idea like when am I gonna read it then, like, you know. The ones that I'm leaning towards are these two, so A Winter in New York and Tom Lake. So I guess we'll see which one I end up picking. Reading update. So as you guys know, I started A Winter in New York by Josie Silvers, and I'm approximately 56 pages in, so this is chapter 4, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm like not totally feeling it. It's just like moving a bit slower than I thought it would, so it's taking me, it's already been like 3 days and I've gotten 56 pages in. So I'm not going to DNF it because I do actually really want to read it and finish it, but at this point, like, it's just taking me kind of longer than I thought it would. So I might pivot to a different book. Kind of feeling both of these. Addicted to You is still very intriguing to me, especially so many people have said that, you know, I need to read this. So I'm like, should I just start it and like hopefully it's super engaging and I like finish it? Or Wildfire by Hannah Grace, which I've read Icebreaker about like 2 months ago and I ate that up, finished it super quickly. I've been wanting to read this one really badly too, so it's between these two. I might just start another one because this is just not doing it for me right now. I do have other Christmas reads, but I really want to focus on my TBR, which is like these 3 books are on it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might just tonight at least continue reading this, see how far I get, and hopefully like it starts getting interesting and like I start being super engaged. But as of now, like, it's just not being that awesome for me, and I might switch to these 2, but that's another decision because I don't know which one of the 2 I would switch to. This is so hard. I'm such a mood reader too, so that's why I'm like, if I stop liking something immediately, I'm like, DNF, like, let's move on. But I really want to commit to this TBR and at least hopefully get like 5 of them. I've read 3 so far, so by the end of this video I want to get at least 2 more done, and I just don't know what 2 they're gonna be. Who knows, maybe I might even pick up Iron Flame. Who knows? Daisy Hates? Potentially, I don't know. So last time you saw me, I was debating on whether to jump ship or to continue to continue this one or jump ship. And my decision was jumping ship. I started this one I think a night or two ago. I'm on page 138 and I am eating this up completely. It is so good. Like, I can't wait to finish it. I just want to keep reading it. This is about Lily Calloway and Lo. His name is Lauren, but he goes by Lauren Hale. And they have like a fake relationship. So it's like a fake dating trope. It's forced proximity because they're faking their relationship to their entire family, and therefore they literally live in an apartment together. And of course, if I mentioned this like earlier in the video, but they have addictions, both of them. She's addicted to sex and he's addicted to booze. So it's literally them trying to live with those addictions. And let me go close the door again because my freaking bathroom is open. You can literally see the toilet. Okay, much better. So as I was saying, yeah, they basically have to live with each other because they are fake dating, but they are really, really close friends. Their families are really, really rich. I didn't know that going into this book, but they're both super, super rich. Her father owns like kind of like a Coke or Pepsi company, like super, super popular soda company. And then his dad, I honestly forgot what his dad does, but they're both really, really like rich, and the two fathers are really good friends. And so when they got together, obviously everybody loves that because it's almost like a match made in heaven. They're not royalty, but they're just really wealthy kids. So again, this is definitely giving kind of like Magnolia Parks vibes, but so far I'm liking this a lot better than Magnolia Parks. I just feel like they're toxic, but in a way healthier. Like the yearning for each other is better in my opinion. I don't know. I'm just a big fan. Oh yeah, also look at my shirt. How cute is this? My friend literally thrifted it and gave it to me. Like, how adorable. Anyway, I love this so far, and I literally already ordered Ricochet, which I believe is book 2 in the series. There's quite a few books in this series, so I think next month, starting 2024, I'm literally gonna make a video of trying to read like series, because this month alone I've started 3 now, so that'll be next month. But the book number 2 is Ricochet, and I literally purchased it last night on Amazon, so it should be here soon. But wow, this book is so good. Again, I'm not even halfway. I think I'm like 40 something% through, and I just want to keep reading it. Like, it is so good. I actually really like both of the characters. Yes, they both have like addictions, but they're working through them. They know that they have problems, and it's just very interesting the way the authors like talk about their addictions. I don't know. Obviously it is a bit more mature content because even if you read the back, they both have addictions to sex and booze. Well, 1 and 1. So, if that's not your cup of tea, then I would say don't read it. So I started that one because I just really kind of wasn't getting into this one. I made it like 60 pages in, only this far. And then I just had to put it down because I wasn't feeling it. But I do want to finish this in this video because I need to read a Christmas book, and this is very wintry Christmas. So I will try to keep reading this, but for now I've kind of put it to the side and focusing on Addicted to You because this book is good. Literally says 2 best friends, liars, lovers, addicts, one epic love story. And I've heard so many people recommend this to me, so many people hype it up, and I was just like, okay. But it is really, really good. And now I just started like a 10 book series. So good. So good. Literally about to finish Addicted to You. I'm on the last page. This is a bonus chapter, so let's see how this ends. Okay. I feel like it's too soon to give a rating. I know earlier I was like, oh, this could potentially be a 5-star. I don't really know if it's still at that point. I don't think it's a 5-star, maybe a 4 for sure. I think that's what I'm gonna aim for, but I did already order the second book and I want to read it, so it was really good. I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. It's just, they both have their addictions and one of them feeds into the other. Like, they're toxic in that sense and they know it, but they're very self-aware. Is a very good thing that I like about this book, because this easily could have been like, oh, this is right for us to do, blah, blah, blah. But each time they make a decision that they know kind of harms the other, they talk about it and they think about it. Not with each other, but like they think about it and they know. Like at least Lily, the main character who we get like inner dialogue from, she knows and she talks about that. So I like that and appreciate it. This is great. It's forced proximity, found family, literally. It was good. I don't think it was quite a 5-star. It was a little bit predictable. I was able to predict a few things before they happened, like a few pages before the reveals happened. So I was like, okay. But this is the first book in the series, so it gave a really good, you know, understanding of the characters, how they interact with each other, who they are, what they go through, blah, blah, blah. So I am really excited to keep going. And this is another book I finished from my TBR, which I'm really, really excited about. And now I'm going to go back to A Winter in New York, which you guys are literally standing on. I'm going to go back to this. I literally only got 62 pages in, so hopefully we can finish this. It's not too long. So that's like what's motivating me to finish it. But this will hopefully be the next and maybe last book that I read in this video. Always closing closet doors. Anyway, I'm back and I'm just gonna finish this video off with like a ranking of the books that I did read from my TBR. So let me grab those. These ones right here. Let me just rate them and then I'll explain. So last on the tier, I read 4 books technically. I think, let me double check. Okay, so I was actually missing one, so I'm back now, but now I have to rethink my order. Okay, I have it. Yeah, okay, I have it. Last on the list, we're gonna go with A Winter in New York. Now, before we get crazy, I actually haven't finished this, but I'm only on page 106. I just am not able to like dive into it. I don't know why. It hasn't hooked me yet. It hasn't like pulled me in. So I'm still on page 106. That's why this book is rated last. But honestly, even if I do finish it, I think it's going to be rated last because these other ones were that much, just really, really good. Honestly, like almost all of them were almost 5-star reads, like crazy. But anyway, this is going to be last on the list as book number 5 for my TBR. So out of the 10 or 11 books that I said I wanted to read, or yeah, I was cleaning the lens. But anyway, out of the like, I think it was 10 or 11 books that I said I wanted to read, this is going to be number 5. Number 4 is actually going to be, surprisingly, I feel like to a lot of people, is going to be Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This book was incredibly toxic. The relationship was just, it was a lot. It was overwhelming. It was like constant whiplash. The miscommunication was tremendous. And I don't know, I feel like miscommunication is one of the things that I can't stand when I'm reading books because I'm like, you can literally just talk to each other, you know? But it is also like realistic. Like they're young, they're rich, they're snooty, they're dramatic, so that makes sense. But I'm gonna go ahead and rate this one number 4. Number 3 is going to be Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This was great. This was, I think, 4 stars out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. Liked it so much. Ordered the second book. Ordered Ricochet. It's really, really short. I actually already started it. I'm on page like 60, but I've actually been reading Ricochet over A Winter in New York. That's how much like this has pulled me in. So this might actually end up being like number 2 or number 1 on the list after I finish the entire series. Now it is number 3. We're getting to the top 2 here. Number 2 was going to be Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan. I really enjoyed this one. It was a romance and it had Marriage of Convenience, which I don't think I've really ever read, or I just don't read that very often. So that was a really interesting trope. And the 2 main characters, they were great. The female main character, Kira, was super lovable. She was strong, she was funny, she was childlike. Not childlike, but like she was like, I don't know how to describe her aura. She gave very much like wild, free vibes, and I really liked that. So I really enjoyed her, and it was, some of the things that were said were just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I mean, it is Mia Sheridan, so if you've read Archer's Voice, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's that same sort of tension between the characters. So I really enjoyed it, rated it 4.5 stars. This is book number 2 on my list. Now last but not least, it's not a 5-star, but it is 4.5, and I might end up raising it. It is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This was really, really good, super entertaining. It's a fantasy, but also with a subplot of romance, but the fantasy itself was great. It was, I feel like, a medium scale. Like it's not like a Game of Thrones level, but it's also, you have to concentrate and like think about the things that are happening and picture it. There is a map in the beginning of the book, so that's great, and there's dragons, so that's why I bring up Game of Thrones, because In those ways it is similar, but in other ways it is a lot more simpler. There's a lot less characters, at least in this book. I've heard in Iron Flame there are more characters added, so we'll see. But yeah, this was really good. It ends off on an amazing cliffhanger, so now I want to read Iron Flame. But for now, I haven't read it, so this is gonna be number 1 though. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is the end of the video. My camera's gonna die, so yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned. We'll see what else I read. Peace.